Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello there.
How are you guys?
Good.
Really good, thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with me. What a great movie. Huge fan of the actual musical. Was able to see it when it was here in New York. So absolutely love that you guys were able to bring it to the big screen. So my first question is for you, Matthew and Dennis. How did you guys get attached to actually the film adaptation? Because you don't typically see the director and the screenwriter of the musicals go to the film.
It's a good question, isn't it?
That's a really good
How
question.
did we get attached?
I think it was a group effort. The impression I got was that Tim Minchin and Dennis and I sort of stuck together and said, I'm not doing it unless they're doing it.
Yeah, I think that's actually right. I think that's right. I think we knew we wanted to stick together, didn't we? We knew we wanted to sort of, and ultimately when it comes right down to it, we wrote it. So it was ours. It wasn't just ours, it was also the Roald Dahl's, it was also Sony's, and so it was, but at some level we sort of said, look, we want to do it, and they were dumb enough to let us have a go.
Do you know what? I think I think it kind of is greedy on our part, maybe, to try to be the same people, because you're absolutely right. It's not usually the same people, and it's not usually the same people for a very good reason. That the forms are completely different, the stage, screen, and you really want a different mind on it. But you see, we were unusually lucky because the show had been on for 10 years. And we were different people anyway. I'm talking about Dennis and me and Tim. And we were a different mind on it. So we were able to look at the material and say, yeah, that won't work on screen. But we know inside it, there's a thing which we have to make work in a different thing. So we had the advantage of knowing the anatomy of the show and the willingness to tell it in a new way.
I think one last thing on that is that I think actually thinking back about it, Matthew just had a clear vision for it. When it comes right down to it, we knew that I think Matthew was really quite sort of gung-ho about doing it because he had quite a clear vision for it. And we were just totally signed up to that.
Was there a particular either musical number or part in the musical that you guys knew immediately when you changed it over to film it just was not going to work?
A lot of them.
We struggled with several, bringing them out of the theatre version. The school song is a good example where you've got the alphabet, and that just takes place around some school gates on the stage. And to reimagine such a sort of word game, theatrical word game, in a film where there's more reality is needed and stuff, it took a long time for us to stumble on this idea of going through the school and putting the letters on the doors. And I think that works really well because it does feel very cinematic actually. But yeah, it took a lot of head scratching to do that, and Miracle, another one, When I Grow Up. And even Smell of Rebellion takes place inside a gymnasium. Bruce, that was another difficult one because that was
all of them. Really? You're just mentioning all the songs. I don't think there's any song that is like it was an easy transfer. Really, I think they were all slightly different.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to ask, because you brought up Bruce, and one of my favorite parts in the musical is when he breaks it down in Revolting Children at the end, and he just is, singing all the notes and doing that. And he does not do that at the end of the song in the musical. So is there a specific reason why that didn't work? Or was it just, we're just going to keep it? Because the dancing is really what wins you over when you're watching it come to life on screen. That was amazing. All the kids you guys cast for that. Wow. But was there a specific reason why?
Why what? Which bit? I didn't
Why
understand.
Bruce doesn't get that option at the very end of Revolting Children. He breaks it down, like he lets it go with his singing at the end, and he does not do that in the movie.
Yes, well, because in the movie that number just builds and builds and builds and builds, and it starts off, with him singing and then there's the kids who are around him, and then he goes out into the corridor and there's more kids. They meet kids in the corridor, and then we go into the lobby, and then we go outside. So the idea of that is you're just getting more and more energy from more and more children, this sort of revolutionary energy, and it gets bigger and bigger. It becomes about the entire school, and in a way, the entire world changes at that moment by the end of the song. And so it's about that thing of just opening up, opening up, opening up. which is different from obviously what you can do on stage where you've got a finite number of people.
Alisha, let's jump to you. Fantastic as Matilda, absolutely fantastic. And I think my favorite parts were you're telling the story of the escapologist, and that just the amount of emotion you put into that was amazing. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about those scenes and how you came to bring those to life, because we literally the same feelings that the bookkeeper were feeling, we all were feeling watching it. We're just like, oh my God, I want it. How can you end it? How do you end it? So tell us how you went about doing that.
Well, I knew that like so many like people have played Matilda, like whether it was on stage or like in the movie, but I knew that even if I tried to like portray the character as they did, because I'm a completely different person, even if I tried to do it, wouldn't turn out that way. So I just tried to put myself into Matilda's shoes and imagine how I would think Matilda would react in those kind of situations, and just kind of leave myself behind and turn myself into Matilda. And yeah, that's a kind of...
It was fantastic. Now, had you seen the musical before doing the movie?
No.
No, so you went in just, have no knowledge of what was in, and basically put all of your trust into these two gentlemen.
Yeah.
Was that a little nerve-wracking coming in, knowing there had been thousands of people who had seen the musical previous to this, and now you're bringing it to life?
I was a bit nervous, but I knew that like when I got there was like 2 months of rehearsals, and like we went through the character and like different emotions that she would have felt, and different like words that describe her character. So I just kind of thought to myself, like when I do go in to start filming, that I'll just turn myself into Matilda, and whatever like happens or whatever I feel like is right for the character like will happen. And
for all three of you, is there a particular scene or musical number that turned out when you watch it now is your favorite piece of the movie?
What about you, Alisha? You've got a favorite piece?
Well, my favorite is Quiet, because I really like how the start of it, she's on the assault course and then she just goes up in the hot air balloon. I feel like when people are watching that, you really are like listening to what Matilda is saying, and you kind of get what's going on in her head, because she's trying to just get everything out. And then she goes up into the hot air balloon, and I feel like you really feel the emotions with Matilda, and you go through the whole experience with her, which I think is really good, and I really enjoyed filming it as well.
What about for you, gentlemen?
There's a couple of things. To be honest, although it was kind of hard work making the film, every part of it was really exciting to do, and I really enjoyed the results. And everybody I was working with was so great, the crew and cinematographer, the cast, everybody. So I genuinely kept finding repeatedly these exciting moments. But being able to, in Miss Honey's song "My House," being able to add flashbacks, which you can't do on stage, and to bring those two storylines smashing together in that song was a really exciting thing to be able to do. And then there's just the line when, after that has happened, Matilda rushes out of the house and Miss Honey chases after her and warns her that she's humiliated Trunchbull, and she's got to be careful because Trunchbull is dangerous. And Matilda says, "So am I." And that one little line of her standing there in your little anorak in the rain, putting a satchel on her back, saying, "So am I." I really love that bit. And we shot it. We were in a hurry. It was the end of the day. I think we did it twice or something. We just shot it really quickly. And I knew it was going to be a sort of landmark moment. Every time I watch it, I get a real kick out of that.
Alisha you slam that moment, because it's like it's just what you were saying about sort of trying to be Matilda. Like in that moment when you say "so am I think yes you are. She is dangerous, and it's like, and I think that's what's exciting about it, is like I really believe it. Like it's not a sort of it's not a put on. I think that might be my favorite moment as well. So I'll say another one, because in fact both of those moments are my favorite moments. So I'm going to say another one. But I love Revolting Children and the dance. It's just mental, and it's like the best it's the best thing watching all those kids have the most crazy, brilliant time. But also things like Emma kind of saying, "I've been busy." What's going on there? What's going on in her brain? I love those things, but there's so many moments in it that I just love, and the ending. I love the whole ending. The new song is gorgeous, and like the relationship between Miss Honey and Matilda is just beautiful in that moment. So, yeah, I'm basically saying the film. The film is my favorite moment.
But I think what all of you are alluding to is you were able to capture the magic of what people love so much about the musical, seeing it on stage in this movie. You do not lose that magic. You guys do have a couple of callbacks to the musical. One of the ones that stuck out with me was at the end of Naughty, where Matilda does the dance move from the musical. So you managed to bring in everyone who is a fan of that, but also not push away anyone who has never seen it before. A lot of us know the Matilda story, but you guys have crafted it to make it its own, but it's not an exact mimic of the musical, which I think is fantastic. You've brought it in, and I love that Alisha said, I did not know it. I didn't know the musical, so I got to bring it to myself. So for all of that, how does that feel to know, you've captured that magic again, but in a different way?
Well, that was the task. What you've just described was the sense of responsibility I had. To make something work for people who didn't even know there had been a stage musical, and for people who only knew it in the book form or in the 1996 movie, which is such a different incarnation of the story, or just never even seen any version of it. So you do have to make something that works on its own terms. And because we're so close to the stage show, Dennis and I, and Tim mentioned as well, we had to really push ourselves and make sure that we weren't clinging on to stuff just for its own sake. But like you say as well, there is a significant number of people who've had really formative experience falling in love with the stage show. And we wanted this to be able to complement their experience as well. A little detail actually about that, the Matilda pose, we call it in the stage show. We were on the day of shooting Naughty for the film. I think it was the day. And I was with Ellen Kane, the choreographer. And I said, we haven't got the pose anywhere in the movie so far. We really need to get it in somewhere. And I said, can she do it up on the roof? So we rushed up there to teach Alisha at the last minute what it was. And thankfully, I realized that it should be there because it is a sort of iconic thing. And Matilda, the name, means mighty in battle. And there's two elements. You got to have it, but we nearly missed it. We got it in at the last minute.
It was her power pose.
Exactly.
What about you, Alisha? What is it like knowing that you captured this magic and on a character that's so well loved by so many?
Well, because it's been like since I auditioned, and now, on Saturday it will be 2 years since I got
Is it really? On
Yeah.
Saturday?
Oh my gosh.
It's
Yeah.
my mum's birthday.
Oh,
on
of course,
Saturday,
that's how we
so-
know. Yeah.
Well, when I watch the movie, it feels like I'm watching someone like completely different to myself. Like, I don't like watching myself when I watch back like interviews or me being me, but I can watch myself play a different character. And I don't really know. I'm just glad that people like it, but I know that like everyone, the cast and the kids and the crew works so hard. So I'm just so happy for everyone.
Perfect. Well, for my final question for you guys today is for those who have yet to see it yet, because it has not come out fully on Netflix, and here in the States, we have not gotten it yet. I'm super excited for them to get it. But what are you guys hoping fans get from the movie?
I sort of fell in love with the Matilda story when Dennis first sent me his script, first draft of his script for the stage show. And at that moment, it made me laugh and it made me cry. And it felt like there was something at the heart of it that was a really strong and important message, whilst being wonderfully entertaining and joyful at the same time. So all of those things, it had a big impact on me. And that impact sustained me through like the 14 years or so since that script turned up, getting it onto stage, and then through the 3 or so years of making this film. And all you want as a director is to be able to hand something to an audience and say, I hope this makes you feel the same way as it made me feel. So I hope it really does make people laugh, cry, feel like there's an important, substantial message in it, entertain them, but also feel like it's meaty at the same time.
What about you, Alicia?
Well, I hope that like even if you go to see the film on your own, if you go with your family or whatever age you are, when you watch it, that you go through the whole, because like when you watch the movie you go through sad bits and happy bits, so I hope you get captured in it as well as while you're watching it, and just to take courage away from it, to be strong and just to stand up for yourself no matter what kind of situation you're in.
What about you, Dennis?
Yeah, for me, it's like you can watch Matilda and you can be forgiven for most people. When we think about Matilda, we think it's a story about how this little girl has this huge adversary in the Trunchbull and somehow defeats her, you know. But actually, that's not the story. The story starts before she meets the Trunchbull and goes on after she meets the Trunchbull. And really, the story is, you know, she says it right at the beginning. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was trapped, and it's about that's the story. It's about a little girl that was trapped, sort of becoming not trapped, and she does that through connection. She connects with Miss Honey, and I think that's what I think it would be lovely if people could take away, that sense of connection, you know, because I think that's probably what it's about, I think.
Well, perfect. Thank you guys so much for speaking with me, and I'm super excited for everyone to see the movie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.